Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I have the good fortune to be with Teddy Slack from moderncontractor.io. Teddy, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Seth.
Our pleasure. So let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
So home services, I kind of grew up in the space. My father was an entrepreneur. He self-starter, bootstrapped, started a landscaping business, eventually got into the environmental space, did a lot of commercial environmental work. So after college, I started a residential division inside the family business. That's kind of how I got, all the knowledge to grow and scale home service companies. We quickly grew that company to 7 figures. And then after about 5 years working for the family, unfortunately, my mother passed away, and me and my father kind of went our separate ways. I started my own home service business, which was in the residential oil tank services. And I bootstrapped that business starting with $8,000. We got that to 7 figures in 12 months. And, I ran that business from 2009 to 2022, essentially, and where I sold it.
That is absolutely incredible. $8,000 to 7 figures in 12 months is an amazing growth rate. I am sure I'm sure that could be in a book somewhere if it isn't the longer version, if it isn't already. Tell me a little bit about when you decided how Modern Contractor came to be.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I actually did write a book. It's called Profit Driven Growth. It's coming out in Amazon next month. And it's basically my story about how I got started and how I scaled. So I've done this now over 5 times with 5 different companies where I scaled from 0 to 7 figures in the first 12 months. And all of them I've ran for a couple of years. Some of them worked out really well. Some of them fizzled off after a couple of years. And the most recent one that I sold in 2022, that's where I really start to really learn about business. So for the first 15 years, I usually tell people that was like my MBA, right? So that's where I was really good at operating the business as far as like pulling oil tanks. That was the service that I offered, but I didn't understand business until I started reading books and educating myself, listening to podcasts like this, watching YouTube, and I learned about business. And then I started implementing those things. That's how I grew my last business to a 43% EBITDA essentially. And I sold that for a 5 times multiple. I got myself out of the day-to-day, and it was a completely different perspective on how to run a home service business. So after I sold the company, I started Modern Contractor, which is a consulting firm, essentially helping other home service contractors with marketing, finance, operations, this type of stuff to help them get out of the day-to-day, help them get more profitable with pricing and things of this nature. And I've done that for the last couple of years. And recently I decided to get back in the game, and I'm going to be bootstrapping a residential roofing business here in New Jersey. And I'm documenting the entire process on my YouTube channel.
That is absolutely incredible. Why bootstrap a residential roofing business when Modern Contractor helps other contractors?
So what I found after consulting with other contractors is I do enjoy it. I love helping other people, and I love having conversations. I mean, I could talk to people all day long, but when you're working with somebody and you're advising them and you're giving them direction, and sometimes they don't really follow through with those directions, and it can become frustrating when it's like, oh man, I just wish if I was there and I could do it and I could make these decisions. I know I could see these things really flourish and grow. And I found that my passion is to really kind of just like starting these companies and and having them start with nothing, no name, no website, nothing, and then watching them grow very quickly. I really enjoy that part. And then once I get to a certain level, I don't enjoy the day-to-day operations. So that's kind of what I want to get back in the game. It's like, you gotta keep yourself busy. You gotta have an end goal. And for me, it's like I want to get this thing. The part with my last business, it wasn't super scalable. I need a lot of heavy equipment. It was really license heavy. Like every person in the business, essentially out in the field, need to be specially licensed. I had to have heavy equipment. I had to have all these. I was dealing with the state and the towns. With roofing in New Jersey, there's no oversight from the townships or the state. There's no specialized license. You just need a home improvement contractor's license. So it's very scalable. And I like that. I pretty much have the opportunity to scale this thing to as high as I want, really.
That's awesome. So what are some of the biggest issues that contractors are facing these days?
The first thing is usually pricing is what I do a lot of work around pricing. I changed the pricing in my last business, and literally I changed the entire industry. After I did it, a lot of people started following it, but I went to flat rate pricing where a lot of people in the industry were like cost plus, essentially line items. And it would scare the homeowners because it'd be like, hey, we don't know what's underground. So, we start around $1,200 and then it's plus this, plus this, plus this, depending on what we find. So I came out with a flat rate pricing, which everybody in the industry said I was completely insane. They said I was going to go out of business. And what happened, our closing percentage went through the roof. We got more tanks, which means we found more tanks that leaked, those are the big profit jobs. And then with those jobs, same thing. They were, hey, we don't know how much contamination is in the ground. And they would scare the homeowners because they would say, hey, it starts around 8 or 9 grand. And then it could be 100 grand. We don't know. But here, just sign here and let me start working, which is very scary, So I said, you know what? Let me come up with a program where I could go out there. I'll test initially. I'll drill down. And I'll figure out exactly how much contamination's there. And then I gave a flat rate for remediation. Did not exist in the industry. Again, my closing percentage went through the roof. My profit margins went through the roof. And that's how I was able to get to 43% EBITDA, which is unheard of in home services. And when I started helping other contractors think outside the box, think of other ways that you could do this and implement this, it really does change the whole business model around because now the customers can't price shop you, right? There's nowhere to compare it to because you're the only guy offering anything like this,
That is absolutely incredible. And I think if I counted right, you built 5 service-based businesses from 0 to 7 figures. What are some of the common threads you've seen in the ones that succeeded versus the ones that you mentioned that, fizzled out?
Yeah, it really, a lot of it comes down to marketing too. So a lot of these contractors, and just like I was the first 15 years, I was very good at my craft. I was really good at the craft, but I didn't understand business. I didn't understand numbers and I didn't understand marketing. And I feel like I tried a lot of different verticals in marketing. Hey, let's try this campaign. Let's try this campaign. And you're kind of just throwing shit at the wall to see, oh, what sticks? Is this sticking? Does this work? What not? But if you're not tracking it properly, you don't really know what's working and what's not. And then once I start reading and educating myself, like, oh, I have to like track every one of these campaigns and tie it back to the return on investment, all this type of stuff. And once I started doing that and I figured out what works, you could take the business completely to the next level at that point. And when you find the thing that really works, that's kind of like, again, if you're not tracking, you don't know where to spend that money. You just have to double down on that one campaign and really go all in, where a lot of people think, oh, I got to be in all these different campaigns. I got to be on billboards. I got to be here. I got to be there. No, no, no. If this one thing's working, let's double down on it. Let's really hammer home on this, because we're getting the ROI.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So are you going to keep, if I'm allowed to ask, are you going to keep helping other contractors while you scale the New Jersey roofing company? You can do both at once? Or are you putting modern contractor on hold?
So yeah, I have a school community that I just started up in the last couple of months that I'm going to continue to kind of build out because I put in there 6 hours of content on I grew my home service companies from 0 to 7 figures very quickly. It's all free. I don't charge anything to get in that community because I want to build a community around helping other home service contractors without charging them. So if you're just starting out, and the same thing for documenting my process here with the roofing business is I'm going to document the entire journey. I'm doing a weekly post and I'm going to be, it's just video content of me talking. And then eventually I'll have a videographer follow me around once I want to get the company off the ground, and just breaking everything down from the numbers, financials, marketing campaigns, hiring process, training, these type of things. So I could teach other people because I do enjoy teaching other people and helping other people, but it wasn't the thing that I want to be the main thing for me as far as making money. I wanted to really get back into the game with, and I saw roofing as that opportunity.
I love that you're literally going to document the process, which proves yet again that your process and systems work and people can literally follow along with you. How are you going to balance, obviously there's the work in the field, there's building the systems, there's leadership, there's hiring and training. How do you balance all of that in a business?
So again, in the first 15 years, I was the guy who did everything. So I was doing the sales. I was in the dump truck, driving the dump truck. I was operating heavy equipment. I was guy with the shovel and the broom. I mean, I literally did it all because that's how I was taught. My father was old school. You just learn. I learned every aspect of the business. I could, go apply for the permits. I could do the sales. I could do the finance. I could print out the P&L. I mean, I could do every aspect of the business, which is great. It's good to know all that stuff. But once I really are educated myself and learned, hey, this is really not the right way to scale. You got to get yourself out of the day to day. So one of the things I did in my last business is within the first 12 months, I was completely out of the day to day. Sales was the last thing I handed off. And then I was literally just overseeing everything from a high level. And that's what allowed me to start my YouTube channel and to do these other marketing campaigns that I would have never had the time to do. So getting yourself out of the day to day is a number one priority for me. And my plan, same thing with this roofing business. Within the first 12 months, my goal is to be completely out of the day to day so I can work on training my employees, hiring, getting the right people in the right seats, this type of stuff, as opposed to going to do their sales and going to meet homeowners and being on the roof and that type of stuff. It's just not something I'm going to do with this business, going forward here.
I love that you've got it planned out from the beginning. How do you help other contractors make that mindset shift from doing everything myself to building a real business that runs without me?
It's very difficult sometimes because, as entrepreneurs, we could be controlling, right? We want to have our hands in everything because we feel like if I don't do it, it's not done right. So yes, that was a frustrating part for me, is to try to convince people like, no, this is the right direction. This is the right way to do it. So even if it's not 100% the way you would have done it, if it's 80%, but you could get it done 5 times over, the numbers add up and it makes sense. You have to be okay with that. And it is difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I feel like it's one of the hardest mindset shifts that have to be made. And it's the only way to scale. If you can't make this mindset shift, you'll never scale. Because if your hands are tied into every piece of that business, it's almost impossible to scale it. And you're not going to build value. Like the business won't be worth anything. No one's going to come and buy your business if it depends on you. And that's the one trick that when I usually talk to my clients is like, do you want a business that's valuable or do you want a job? Because if you want a job, you could keep your hands in everything. If you really enjoy it, that's fine. But you have no value in your business. Nobody's going to come buy it, because if something, God forbid, happens to you, everything is gone tomorrow. And that's where all the value is.
Absolutely. A lot of times we get asked, if you had to start over again, what would you do differently? You're essentially getting to start over and do everything right the way you've been teaching it. What are you most excited about in terms of that?
So my last business, when I got it going and we sold it, I actually brought on some equity partners that were in the industry and things of that nature. So I had some partners, which, I never had partners before that. I didn't love it, to be honest with you. Having partners is very difficult. And I did it for almost 10 years with no partners. So going from no partners for 10 years to having partners it wasn't super ideal in my opinion. And I'm very excited about going at it again, 100% on my own. All the decisions 100% fall on me. I get to make the final say, that type of stuff I'm excited about, because, it's just nice when it's yours 100%, and you could run with whatever ideas you have, and they may work, they may not. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the fact that there's no really ceiling in roofing, right? So for the oil tank industry in New Jersey, it was very specialized, very niche, and I couldn't scale it. I mean, I would need tons of heavy equipment, tons of specialized employees. I don't need that with the roofing space, which is really nice.
You've achieved so much success in a variety of different ways. What is your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge is getting into a brand new industry. So roofing obviously is brand new for me. So I have a lot of experience with home renovations. I've done complete gut renovations. I flipped 24 homes in a 2-year period. I had 15 houses under construction at once, but I had, subbed out all the contractors and I oversaw them. So I do have some experience in home construction and renovation, but I'm not a three, I haven't been in the roofing space for 3 generations, right? So like I was in the environmental space, I was 3rd generation with oil tanks. Essentially, I was removing oil tanks that my grandfathers put in. So I grew up in that industry. So it's a brand new space for me. So I would say, if anything, that's probably my biggest challenge. And the way I'm overcoming that is I'm bringing on those experts. So my first hire is a 3rd generation roofer who knows how to do all the in-house repairs. He's going to be a W-2 employee for me. He'll be on every sales call initially with me. We'll be doing the site walks and inspections together. So I'm learning from somebody in this space. That's kind of how I'm overcoming that challenge.
Awesome. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I just love, like I said before, I love starting something that, and creating the name, coming up with the name, creating the website and seeing something. It's like a baby. It's like an infant, it's coming to life. And then as you see it grow, to me, that just gets me fired up.
Absolutely. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks who are watching or listening, where can they learn more about Modern Contractor? And for our folks, if we have any who happen to be listening in Jersey, where can they learn more about the new roofing company?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go to just Teddy Slack on YouTube, you can find my personal YouTube channel there, where my podcast is hosted for Modern Contractor as well, which is basically me talking to a lot of vendors in the home service space to help other home service contractors grow and scale their business. So you can check me out there, or I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well. Same thing, just look up Teddy Slack. You can find me there as well.
All right. Well, this has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur with Teddy Slack. Teddy, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.